All right, so today I'm going to be taking a look at Telgler Audio's Varitube recording channel. It's an all-in-one recording channel that includes a Pultec style EQ along with two different types of compressors, one a Varimue and then the other one being an optical, think of LA2A. So it has the killer mic preamp in on it right now. Now I'm not going through that right now because of testing purposes. I'm mainly going to focus on running this as a hardware insert coming out of my digital audio workstation and then processing through this and then recording the end result. So we're going to be doing that today. We're going to start out with bass. You know, when I first started doing this video was going to end up being an hour and a half long by the time I did various sources. So I may break this up into a couple of different videos depending on what it is you're trying to do with it. But I found so far that it's absolutely fantastic recording channel. You really get a lot in it for what you're paying. Now for me, if I had to pick one desert island EQ of them all out there, and let's just face it, there are a lot of fantastic EQs out there, whether it's API or Neve or, I've got a Mag Audio one setting back there. I love SSL. A lot of fantastic EQs, and some of them are good for certain sources, and some are good for other sources. But as far as one that will cover all of the gamut, for me, it's a Pultec EQ. Now, this does not have a full-blown Pultec EQ. Back over there, I also have a Telgler Audio stereo Pultec EQ, which is two separate channels, or you can process it in stereo. And I absolutely love that, and you would have to pry that thing from my hands. There's no way I'd give it up. I also have the Telgler Audio Cream in here, so you can tell I'm a fan of it. I've yet to try anything from Telgler Audio that I didn't absolutely fall in love with right out of the gate. Now let's talk about the compressors real quick. Are they going to fit everything you're doing? No, just like no compressor does. There's certain sources this compressor is going to shine on, and I'm talking about even having two options, but there's other sources where you may want to choose another one. The way I look at the compressor on this, if you're going to doing a recording channel and you're recording into this recording channel, that means you're processing it with the mic preamp, along with the EQ, and along with the compressor going into your digital audio workstation. As it relates to compression, my recommendation would always be just to lightly touch it so you're taming it a little bit. And then once you get into your digital audio workstation, you can either come back out or go to another compressor that fits the particular instrument that you happen to be using on in that moment. So think of it kind of along those lines. For an all-in-one vocal recording channel, absolutely killer. All-in-one acoustic guitar recording channel, absolutely killer. And so these things come with a lot of power, and there's a lot of channel strips out there. But in my opinion, this should be at the very top of your check it out or try it out. And they do have a nice program where you can try it out in your studio. If you don't like it, you just return it. You'd have to check out more on their website to find a little bit more about that. But at the end of the day, this thing, I think you're going to come to the same conclusion that I do, and that is it's absolutely fantastic. I've had to move my mic over here because ultimately I'm going to be turning over there and talking, and you're mainly going to go to this camera right here. But let's check out some of the controls on the front of it. Starting out right here, you have your input, and then you also have your gain. Your input works for both using it as a hardware insert as well as kind of dialing it in for the mic preamp. But your gain is going to be how far you push into that microphone preamp. Something that we're all used to doing. So we've got that option right there. Of course, a mic input on the back, and there's also a mic input there's a mic input on the back, and there's also one here on the front, depending on how you want to connect yours up. Over here, we start out with a low end on this, and this is where you get the ability to boost, and you can do this anywhere from 80 up to 1K. All right, so you can do anything you want within that range. Very flexible. Now, this is not a typical Pultec EQ, and that is you would also have the ability to cut. Let's say you wanted to boost at 80 and then cut at 80, a very common thing done with Pultec style EQs. This one here doesn't give you the option to do that. They can only cram so much into this size space and get it all to work well together, okay? And so next up, we've got our cut area. So think of this as you're doing your typical EQ curve. bass, cut in the middle, and then bring it up on the high end. Okay, kind of works the exact same way. So here you've got anywhere from 200 to 7K. So you can cut anywhere into there. Now you do not have a boost on this, you only have a cut. Next up, we've got our high end, and that's going to go from 1.5 up to 24. Sorry, I got to look at it. I don't have it all memorized. I just know what sounds good. So there you're going to be able to boost those frequencies. Over here, you've got your compressor. This is how much you're sending into the compressor, really pushing it, and how much reduction you're going to get. And then here's your overall output. You do have a switch over here that shows you gain level on your mic preamp as well as your EQ. And then you go to compressor, and it's going to be your gain reduction. And then, of course, you can go to the overall output, which shows your overall output. Remember, on analog gear, there's a couple of things you need to realize. One, you want to push it towards the red more that you don't want to do in the digital world, but you do kind of want to do that in the analog world. Also, gain staging is very, very, very important in the analog world. Not as important inside the digital audio workstation with plugins, but super important in the analog world. So kind of keep that in mind. So let's go downtown, I guess we should say, and let's take a look at the switches that are on the front of this to give you various options and opportunities. Here we've got between mic and line. I'm obviously going to use this as a hardware insert on this particular thing, so I've got it set to line. Over here next to that, we've got our 48-volt Phantom. I'm not recording the mic through that. It's going directly into my RMEU FX Plus, so I'm using that, and that's where I've got my phantom power applied. Then we've got our low cut. So we've got the low cut, then we can do it at 160, and then we can do it at, I'm flipping the wrong switch. We can do it at no low cut at all, then 160 or 80. All right, so you got the ability to do a typical high pass filter on that. All right, so over here we've got our phase switch. So you want to check phase to make sure how that's aligning up. Remember, when you're coming out a little bit different, so check your phase. If you tend to lose low end by not engaging it, and you engage it and you get more low end, that means you need to flip your phase. All right. Next up, you've got your EQ bypass, so you can go on and off and really kind of check that out and see what's going on there. Here, you can do the EQ before the compression or the compression before the EQ. So this gives you both options. You can either assign your EQ first and then your compressor, or then assign your compressor and then do your EQ. You can choose which one you want to do there. Next up is engaging the Varitube part of it. This is the Varitube compressor. So you can either have that engaged or disengaged. Next up, we have the Opto. You can engage that or disengage it. Now, one cool thing, you can use both if you wish. And then lastly, you've got your attack. You can set it for auto in the middle, slow on the bottom, or fast on top, depending on what you're processing through it. And that's about it. The only thing I wish it had, Telgler here, this is for you, a little bit of feedback. I wish it had an overall bypass switch that somehow did an automatic makeup gain. I know that's hard in the analog world, because one of the things you've got to do, especially once you start applying the compression on it, is you're going to have to, if you apply compression, which means what? It's bringing that level down, so it has to be compensated up with your output. So if you go bypass that compression, now you're going to have to turn down your output and then bypass it to truly get the apples to oranges. Now, that is not uncommon in the analog world. So when you see me doing that here, you know that's what I'm doing, a very important point. You've got your metering over here, which again shows you your gain level for your mic preamp, your EQ, and then lastly your output. Or if you have the dial set to compressor, it's going to show your gain reduction. So that's overall the switches on this. It may seem like a bit daunting in the beginning, but trust me, it is not. You'll wrap your heads around it very quickly and you won't have a problem with it. All right, before we get started into the audio examples, I need to do a little self-promotion, as I need to make a little bit of money doing this. So I've got an opportunity out there to do that. And that is, I'm part of the affiliate program with Sweetwater. Simply, all it means, if you use the link down in the description below and you go buy something for $5 or $500,000, if you're that rich, I get a tiny, tiny cut of it. I have the same relationship with Thomann over in Europe. They're based out of Germany. So if you're over on that side and you order from them, I've got the link down below for that as well. Affiliate links really are the only thing that sustains this channel, and it's a way I can keep everybody out of my inputs, or everyone's inputs out of my particular perspective. No one ever asked me to do anything, and I would never allow that. So it's a good relationship when it comes to that. So kind of, if you could help me, I'd appreciate it. For those of you who've already done that, please know that I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I also have a side business called Artisan Woodshed. You can check it out at www.artisanwoodshed.com. I make custom desktop enclosures for Softube's Console 1 MK3 and their Fader MK3. I'm working on various configurations, so you can check out the ones we have available for purchase right now, or also check out the gallery and see what those look like. So go to www.artisanwoodshed.com. I am currently working on one for PreSonus's Faderport 16, so look forward to that coming soon, as well as other future developments in the future. Last FYI, I'm currently going to be recording all these samples using the Ferrofish Pulse 8 AE. Okay, and so this is Ferrofish's new unit out there for 8 channels of I/O via ADAT. You can also do 8 channels of I/O via ADAT at also 96 and 98K, but you've got to use up both sets of your ADAT on your recording interface. I'll be processing today's audio samples using the Pulse 8, along with it connected to my UFX Plus. That's a RME UFX Plus. And so that's what we're going to be doing to process these today. I'm in the process of evaluating this little bad boy, which I have high expectations because I already have a Pulse 16 in my studio. And this, by no surprise, is something I'm happy with so far. So look forward to that video coming soon. So now let's get back to the video. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my final thoughts on Telgler Audio's Varitube recording channel. I think it is absolutely fantastic in my opinion, and you absolutely cannot go wrong. It should be at the very top of your list if you're considering doing an all-in-one channel strip, because it is so very powerful. Just one little reminder, the compressors are not great for everything, just like every compressor is not right for everything. You're going to notice that in some of the audio samples where it sounds awesome on some and just kind of says, okay. But remember, on the way in, it's best just to tame it. That way you can add whatever processing you want. You can do this as a total front end for your recording interface, as well as use via hardware inserts out to that as well. You can process just to the EQ, or you can process just through the compressor, or you can process through both. You can put them in whatever combination you want. Tons and tons and tons of flexibility. Again, I'm a huge fan of Telgler Audio. I already have a Cream, which is always on my master bus. And I also have their stereo Pultec EQ, which is also always on my master bus, unless I'm tracking with it or doing some hardware inserts before that, and then I'll return it back to my master bus when I get done with that. So I think Telgler Audio makes absolutely fantastic. And if you've ever seen their packaging, it is off the charts. Really cool. Until next time, I hope all of you have a great day.